If you've been thinking about buying here in Ocean City over the last days, weeks, months, or even years, you may be wondering if we are in a housing slowdown, cool down, or if it is truly a bubble. I've been getting that question a lot recently, so I wanted to pull some data, pull some trends from history, and give you my true sense of where we are as well as where we're going to be in the coming months. If this is not your first time to this channel, you've heard me over the past months, even years, talking about the inventory levels, right? What's normal for Ocean City, where we've been being a historical anomaly, and roughly what it's going to take for our inventory levels to normalize so that we get back to a stable market. At the beginning of this month, I thought there was a chance that by the end of September, we were actually going to be at an inventory level where I could see things start to balance out. Here we are checking in halfway through the month, and I don't believe that that is going to be the case. Between the months of July and September, here in Ocean City, we normally see roughly a 20% inventory increase because most people who are going to sell want to finish out their summer. They want to have one last hurrah before they move on to wherever life takes them next. Funny enough, if you look back 60 days, we are up 18% total inventory. So I think this is about what we would expect in a normal market. There are still sellers listing. There are still sellers getting multiple offers on their homes. There are still people buying on a weekly basis, but it's just not in the volumes that we've gotten accustomed to over the past 2 years. Now let's take this back to the basics for a minute, because even though I do this every single day, and this is my livelihood and this is what I love, I find myself getting caught up in the wave sometimes, and I do have to take a step back, and I want to help you do that here for a second. For the past 2 years, we have heard nothing from the media besides a bubble is coming, a crash is coming, oh no, is it like 2008 all over again? Those headlines are everywhere, and they're hard to ignore, and that time period left such a scar on our country, and really wasn't just our country, it was the world, that it's hard to not be worried that that's going to happen again. What we had over the last 2.5 years was a complete imbalance. We had a constrained supply and we had a ton of demand. What has been interesting, specifically so far in the month of September, and this is a nationwide statistic, I don't have access to this specifically for Ocean City, but showing requests have declined 17% year over year from this same time last year. But inventory has gone up roughly 26%. Again, we're at 18%. So you can start to see that that shift is happening, that buyers have pulled back. But sellers, on the other hand, don't really have the urgency here in a second home market to move on from their homes unless they're going to get a price that makes sense to them. And what makes sense to them is in line with everything that's been happening over the past few months. One of the absolute truths for both buyers and sellers here in Ocean City when it comes to owning a second or third or fourth home, nobody needs to do anything. I hear it all the time. If we have a buyer submit an offer below asking price, the seller comes back and says, well, I don't need to sell. To which my buyer replies, well, I don't need to buy. So we end up in this catch-22. Over the coming months, I expect that dynamic to really be sticky. What I mean by that is even if interest rates continue to increase, and with the recent inflation report most likely going to result in another 75 or 100 basis point increase from the Federal Reserve on the prime rate, mortgage rates are likely to still increase. However, sellers tend to have roughly a 6-month lag in adjusting to any material market shift to where buyers are saying absolutely not, the cost is now too high, our price points are now 5% less or 10% less. It will be extremely interesting to me to see what happens over the next 6 months, because as sellers, again, I think they're going to hold the line right where they are now. So I don't expect any price reductions or any price slippage, definitely over the remainder of 2022, but even the beginning of 2023. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the interest rates between now and then, as well as all of the other economic and nationwide, worldwide factors that are screwing with and playing with the market and people's confidence in it. So what are you supposed to make of all of this? I'll make it very simple. If you are looking to sell your home, this is not a bad time to sell. Again, I personally don't believe that there's going to be any material shift in prices over the coming months, not even the coming year. I recently saw a poll from 6 of the foremost housing experts in the nation, and one of the 6 feel that throughout 2023, the national housing market is going to take a step back to the tune of 3%. Everybody else was positive 2+% in appreciation over 2023 in terms of their forecast. On average, they were looking at about a 2.5% appreciation throughout 2023. Again, some markets will be better, some markets will be worse, but only one of the 6 feel like nationwide there's a chance that things will slip. And again, we're talking 3%. So if you're looking to sell, whether it's now or whether it's in the springtime, you will have an opportunity to still capitalize on everything that has happened and how we got here over the past 2 years. But there are nuances here in the local market that would make it advantageous for you to sell at a certain point in time over the next 6 months. So if you are interested in learning more about that, or if I can help you, just give me a call. My number is down below in the description. Now for buyers, my message to you remains the same. For the exact same reason that I just mentioned for the sellers, right? Over the next 6 months, will there be more inventory? Will there be more options? It's not going to grow substantially, right? We just got out of our normal increase from July to September, and I don't picture sellers all of a sudden in the fall, in the winter, listing and deciding, hey, I need to get out of my home. That's simply not going to be the case. Anybody who's bought was extremely well qualified over the past few years. This is not 2008. We're not going to have a foreclosure wave. So if you're waiting for that to happen, you're going to be waiting for a very long time, possibly forever. With that said, there are some sellers on the market now who have overpriced their homes by a pretty material amount. Whether that is just, hey, that's my price to sell, I'm not going a penny less, or whether they really do want to. We can't tell their motivation without having the conversation and giving it a shot by submitting an offer. So over the coming 60, 90, 120 days, I think if you are looking to buy in Ocean City, that is going to be your window to find a value, because we're going to be able to sniff out any potential sellers who really have the urgency and are truly motivated to move on. Whereas if we wait until the spring, we're going to get back into more demand than we have now, as well as similar, maybe slightly more supply, but we're going to get further out of balance than we are at the moment. So there you have it. In a nutshell, we are not in a bubble. Yes, things have cooled down. The last 2.5 years was completely unsustainable to continue appreciation happening at the rate that it was happening. So this is expected. This does not scare me away from helping people to achieve their dream here in Ocean City, whether that is through buying and owning here or through selling and moving up to a different property here in town. So if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments. As always, you can reach me directly. All my contact info is below in the description. So I appreciate you stopping by. I'll see you on the next one.